Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This week, you've waited for it for a while. We're finally doing Spoilercast. However, I have raid in 2 hours, so we're going to have to Ungermax this one and get it done 50% faster. But anyway, I'm one of your hosts, Michael, Mr. Happy Poveromo. Of course, joining me is Slyh, a.k.a. Slythefox, a.k.a. Slyh, a.k.a. Greyfox, a.k.a. you, my boy, Blue. How you doing? Oh, I'm sorry, Slyh, a.k.a. Chair, also.
Nice chair.
I was expecting a little bit better, Happy.
Listen, I needed to come up with something on really short notice with the Ungermax thing. All right,
I give it a 6. I give it a 6. You could have done better.
You know what? I'd give it an 8. It just like flew straight under the radar. I didn't even realize it was there until it had already happened, and I was like, "Wait, really, dude?"
Well, you know, I had to come up with something. So, and yes, he's here. We wouldn't do the show without him, so we have him. It's Ethys.
That's how that works. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
How you doing?
If we did a spoiler cast without you, the uproar would be phenomenal.
Oh my
I think it would create some sort of singularity that would just like.
Yeah.
What would that singularity do? Describe it to me.
What would that singularity do? Well, yeah. I didn't really consider that before I started that bullshit sentence. So
sounds like less thought went into that than my Ungermax comment.
I would say it would irreparably damage the lore and story of Final Fantasy XIV. It would replace all of the writers with Mike.
I like nice delay before this, but everyone's trying to guess monkeys or chihuahuas. No.
Yoshida would be sitting in his office and he'd suddenly hear this boop boop boop. Hey, Mr. Happy. It's like, is that
every character says that before the rest of their lines. There you go.
Hi everyone, Mr. Happy here.
Alphino says it, and then he says it to fucking Raul, and Raul says it back, and then they say the rest. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So this week we're going to be seeing what we remember about the story from about a month ago.
See, I think it's a good time. We've forgotten 25%. We've forgotten 25% of the story.
Yeah. I'd say I'd forgotten about 25% of the story. You want to know something, Slyh? I made a promise last week that I did not keep true. I still didn't finish the rest of the quest that I watched Ethys do on his stream.
God damn it.
I tuned into Ethys doing the main story.
One up.
I was in your stream when you were doing the main story, Ethys, so I never bothered to do them myself. I got to Hell's Lid and stopped. I just watched yours and
You stopped at Hell's Lit. First of all, you creeped on me. I had no idea.
I was talking in your chat.
How am I supposed to know that?
Because you said hi to me.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. Come on, man. Get that out of here. Wait, so let me get this clear. You stopped at Hell's Lid, as soon as you've done Hell's Lid.
Yeah, I got to Hell's Lid.
Is there a reason for that? Like, do you have an excuse?
Well, because I needed to unlock
do you have like a note from a doctor or from a specialist?
Because I watched you do the half of the story after getting Hell's Lid.
So. He's saying through you by proxy. He's done it.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
And I listened to you talk about it all. And I listened to you talk
at least I did the fucking story.
Now, you want to know what's even worse than that? I not only got to Hell's Lid and then stopped the story because I had watched it on Ethys stream, I did it on my alt, too, which also I got to Hell's Lid and then stopped. So I've done it twice. I unlocked Hell's Lid and Byakko, and I was like, good thing I watched Ethys stream.
Say, like, doing Spoilercast a month after the fact is, like, not such a bad thing because everyone started to sort of forget because our memories are terrible. But you can't forget something that you never fucking did.
No, I watched you do it. And I went back and watched you do it again because it took you like 3 hours to watch 2 cutscenes.
Okay, all right.
Because you were talking about them the whole time.
This is going to be an interesting 2 hours.
All right, so before we even get into the specifics of talking about the story, 4.2 for me was the patch of side stories are king, and the main story was deliberately left unfinished, unlike 4.1, which felt very definitive when it had wrapped up, in a sense. And they said this was by design, that 4.3 would wrap up the loose ends that are created in 4.2. Yeah. So it's not all that much a surprise, but that was my thoughts by the end of everything, Hell's Lid, Fractal, all that stuff.
Well, we haven't had any cliffhangers in quite a while. It was kind of nice that like everything was sort of wrapped up in 4.1 and in 4.0 for that matter was like very sort of definitive. There wasn't a whole bunch of loose ends, but I kind of miss this sort of serialized feeling of the main scenario patches that kind of leave us with some teasers with some cliffhangers. I think it's good.
I think we were left with enough in the post end of the story cutscenes in 4.0 and 4.1. And I think that they acted as fuel kind of for the ones that we had this patch, because now we have to start piecing them all together and figure out where they're taking us.
That's true. We have a lot of ammunition for thinking what might come ahead at the moment.
Oh, I've got a theory. I've got one, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
All right.
Sly, how'd you like the story, Sly?
Numerically, I'd give it a 7. Yeah, there was a bit of a cliffhanger at the end, which we'll definitely get to. It definitely left me with some.
Did that bring it down?
No, actually,
because for a lot of people have been saying that like brought it down for them, and I'm sure we'll get to.
Or it might have devalued what we did in 4.0 to begin with.
Okay, all right, okay.
See, I have my theory won't invalidate anything, Sly. Don't you worry.
It like I have a theory as well. It's I feel like it's a bit far-fetched though, but
all right, well, we're gonna start with the main story. Even though I'm more compelled to kind of leave it for the end because I think that's where the majority of our speculation will go. I think considering we've waited this long for Spoilercast, we should get the bulk of it out of the way. So 4.2's main scenario, unlike the last one, we are now looking at the Kurenai side of things post Stormblood Liberation, which we haven't revisited since about level 67 when Doma Castle fell. So it's good to finally be back after all this time, and it's mostly following the Yatsu arc that was set up in 4.0 and 4.1, where she has none of her memories, and Gosetsu's looking after her, and they got to figure out what the hell to do with her. I don't know how I feel about Yatsu. I'm still more invested in Fordola after this patch, this first half of the Yatsu arc, I guess, kind of going through, and Fordola still having kind of an arc that will probably continue 4.4.
I feel like Yatsu is going to take some build up. From what we saw in the story, it's going to take a lot of build up to kind of get up to the point where Fordola is. Fordola is a little bit more direct, and everything has happened. We're seeing the end effects of it. Yatsu, it's still kind of early.
Well, Fordola's got the echo. So
she's just infinitely more interesting because of that. Like having this artificial echo.
Yeah, so she's got this very sort of direct, immediate sort of character shift because it's such a massive change to the sort of components of her character. And I remember I was saying before 4.2 that, oh man, if they go the same route with Yatsu and they try to give her a redemption arc, I'm going to be like really frustrated with that. But I think they're handling it quite well, to be honest.
They don't want you to know what arc they're going down yet.
No.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a semi-redemption arc, though.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a bit of a double take.
So let's cover the events in chronological order. It starts with you heading out east, and you basically need to repel Imperial attack. There's a unit trying to take Yatsu back, pretty much. And Gosetsu, still being her guardian at this point, is pretty much sees it as his life goal now to look after her. In a sense, like this is like the only reason he even survived what he survived is to deliver her. Yeah,
as far as he's concerned, so he can decide what to do with her.
Yeah, he that's where we are, at least at the beginning. The way he feels about it later is going to become more apparent. I wasn't super excited to come revisit this. It's been a long time coming at this point with Gosetsu and Yatsu, but by the time we've gotten to it, I was almost just like, all right, just tell me what happens to her. I wasn't super invested in the first part before Hell's Lid, at the very least.
Okay. All right.
I don't know how you guys feel. Like, it's just been something that's been so subtle for so many patches that suddenly thrusting into the light didn't really do it for me at first.
Well, she represents this enormous intelligence breach for the Garlands. They don't know that she's lost her memory. They're obviously going after her because of what she knows and the fact that they need to suppress what she knows falling into the hands of the Domans. And I think that is still like in the back of Gosetsu's head when he's delivering her. So I was sort of thinking like along those terms, along like, oh, well, when we go back to this Yotsu arc, like, what are we going to learn from her? What secrets is she going to hold? Like, how are we going to be able to use her as leverage over the Garleans? So I was really excited to return to this, to be honest.
Now, Mike, let me ask you, because we talked about it last week. Are your feelings kind of on the side of the fact of how the story is being handled and done right now, whereas like you had this time to kind of think about it in 4.1 and now you revisit it and you have these kind of feelings about the story and how the Yotsu arc is playing out?
Almost like I've gotten bored of the idea after all this time. Yeah. No, it's not so much I'm bored of the idea. It's that we never really got hard confirmation she had amnesia. We kind of just put it together with the way she was acting with Gosetsu in the 4.1 post-game scenes, because he was just like, oh, great. And she's like, like super happy. Like, that's not her. Mm-hmm. Like, we pretty much figured it then. So all the things Ethys is talking about with her memories, I knew her memory would play a central point, but I knew that if I was going to be looking forward to that, it wasn't going to be now, pretty much. I knew that was still something that was going to take a while. So the initial revisit, that's why I'm saying my initial revisit of it, seeing them both on screen, is like, well, at least we're getting to it, but I know nothing is going to come of it for a little bit of time. So it just wasn't super exciting to have someone be like, I don't know, I who was I this is who I am now. You know, I'm going to eat these desserts, and that's it. Like millions of these desserts, and that's all I'm going to do. And like a child.
Well, the payoff that I was waiting for was whether she had actually genuinely lost her memory or whether she was sort of playing games.
I remember you having that theory. I never thought that she was playing games. I always just was convinced she lost.
Part of me was hoping that she was, just because like the memory loss thing is literally the cheapest trick in the fantasy 101 playbook. You know what I mean? Like it's and I think they've been handling it quite well, but it really is like a just cheap.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So we get to this point where now we know, because at this point, even the Warrior of Light, none of us know she's around until we get to this point where the Imperials are trying to recapture her, and we show up and we help, and from this point on, it's a matter of figuring out what do we do with her, because Asahi shows up, explains who he is, explains the relations that he wants that his group wants to have with the Domans, and we'll get into group, which has a very solid definition that I actually is one of the things he says that I believe, which I don't believe most of the shit that came out of his mouth, but I believe part of it. And that's the whole thing. What the hell do we do with her? That's the whole point of this patch. What the hell do we do with Yotsu and the Domans that the Garleans have hostage, pretty much. And that's what's presented. We trade her for the hostages.
So what do you think we do with her?
What would I like for us to do? I'd like it just to be fucking over. I don't... because there's no way keeping her around ends well. There's no part about this that either brings a rain of fire down or she becomes the rain of fire.
What do you
One of the
think,
two things happens.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with the way it was handled, and like as having her as a refugee in Doma. Do I think there will be some repercussions from keeping her in Doma? Absolutely. Like, we've seen shit like this go down before. Even though I love Suyu, that's what I'm calling her now because she's a baby, as a character.
She hasn't earned the first half of her name back yet?
No, not yet. Right. Not yet. She's not Yatsuyu, she's Suyu. Even though I love her as a character, I kind of agreed with the way Hien was going, probably more along the lines to protect his people. Just play it safe and just go ahead and kill the bitch.
I didn't put it like that, but
okay.
I mean, that's pretty much what he was about to do.
Yeah, that's basically Hien's position is basically memory loss or no. She's irredeemable. She's a psychopath, basically. The position that Gosetsu is taking is that, hey, I was forced to do horrible things under the Garlands when Cayenne was acting as their client king. Gosetsu was, shipped off to these foreign wars and sort of killed, thousands of people for the Garlands. There's that sort of micro instance of one of the captains of the Doman Resistance actually having bought Yotsuyu off her father and pimped her out. And he's making this point of like, this point was made on the Alamegan side as well by Raul, was that we've all kind of committed these atrocious things in the name of trying to survive through these times, and at some point we've got to like put it all behind us and just like forgive each other and try to go about the business of building a new society. So is that like, is that compelling? Because to me, I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, is Yotsuyu, obviously it all depends on like whether she recovers her memories or not, but I don't know if I buy it.
I'm on Hien's side of this one, man. Just get it over with, man.
You don't think it's enough, like it's compelling enough of a reason to be sort of sympathetic for where she's at right now?
Here's the thing. You have two choices here. You either have to treat her completely normal, like she did nothing wrong, which the people of Doma will never be able to do. So you're going to basically be putting her through a new kind of hell that is nothing like the one she experienced before. So she just has to live a shitty life again anyway. Or you just take care of the problem that you wanted to take care of when the castle fell on her fucking head the first time.
The thing you have to realize about this, and this gets brought up near the end of the story, Haruko, who's there, says the people are eventually going to find out she's here. They're going to have to see her for who she is right now, even though they know for her for who she was before. So eventually, this powder keg is going to blow one way or another. Now it's up for the people of Doma to decide. Customs wise, we can't say that they'll take the same approach as Alamigo with Fordola. We're talking about two different customs. We're talking about Alamigo and we're talking about Doma. Doma obviously, has different customs and different inner workings, but
I'd almost imagine the Alamegans were the more brutal of the two, but
the Alamegans,
honestly, no. I thought Doma was honestly the more brutal.
The Alamegans, Ramban and Lise had to suppress a fucking lynch mob.
But see, that lynch mob knows that she exists, so nobody knows about. Yatsu. So if they did know, then
I think it would play out exactly the same way.
The same, yeah.
Similarly, after Acts of War. Both of them, you have to remember, Fordola, Alamegan converted into Garland. Yatsu, Doman converted into someone for the Empire. They're both just the same exact, the same exact thing, just in two different places. Different characters, all the same, and for different motivations, all the same. But
yeah, I mean, Fordola's doing what she thinks needs to be done for Alamigo to survive, whereas Yotsuyu hates Doma and Domans, and
she was just.
I mean, Fordola did lose her fucking father to Alamegans, which really doesn't help.
Yeah, but she thought that she was doing what she needed to do for the sake of the nation, whereas Yotsuyu was just a nihilist.
Yeah, hers was just more personal about her history with Doma and what she's experienced and how she just wanted revenge for all she experienced. So it's two different coins.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough one. So what do we think of her relationship with Asahi and all the things that Asahi has been telling us?
This is one shady motherfucker. I mean, he lets us know he's a shady motherfucker, but even before he let us know, I was like, this is.
Oh, as soon as he shows up, you're like,
he's just got that smug fucking face, like you, but like
the good old Ethys.
Yeah, he's got
the good old Ethys.
He's got the I'm well, really. Tell me more. All right.
Mm.
And come on, we just watched the Imperials attack to try and get. Do we really think that all of a sudden our blood relative, who is a complete loyalist, is gonna be fucking like this completely unnormal and understandable guy?
Well, what he's claiming is that there's these two factions, right? There's the Populares and what are they called?
And this I believe. This I actually believe.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And he's saying, well, it was the Optimates that were trying to get back, but
that I don't believe.
Populares. And the Populares are basically about improving the conditions of the provinces and giving people citizenship and sort of representing the common man and all that. I believe that. I do. I just don't believe that he represents the Populares.
That's exactly my thing.
You think
he's feigning that he's on that side.
We know who he represents.
Yeah, we know who he's loyal to.
We know who he's loyal to at the end. Yeah. So,
but there's no way that he represents the Populares, and there is no way that he's there under the authority of the Emperor. I doubt the Emperor even knows that he's there.
Now, when we found out about these two factions, I kind of went back and thought about Fordola.
Mm-hmm.
Was Fordola? Do you think Fordola was acting under the Populares, knowing what we know now?
I think Fordola just cared about whatever she did, whatever she was told, and that was
Fordola. Fordola wasn't thinking that big of a picture. Fordola was thinking about Alamigo, and I would say like Gaius was obviously more on this Populares side. And more on, trying to sort of secure the quality of life of the provinces or whatever. And her organization was created by Gaius under that sort of philosophy. But I don't think she was ever actively thinking about the Empire and what she was doing for the Empire.
All Alamigo.
Yeah.
So this motherfucker comes out, starts lying. Right off the bat. Like, you just immediately don't trust a single word that comes out of his mouth. You believe that the situation here that exists, the Civil War exists.
Lied to us. I don't think he was lying to us about anything other than what his position was.
I don't think they have any sort of desire to work with Doma at any actual level. And none of that. I literally the only words I believe is that the Civil War between the two different groups is brewing, pretty much. That's the only thing I believe, because that's what I believe leads us into 5.0 is us working with one of the groups.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
so
that's
what
it for me.
So what is his motive then?
His motive is actually personal and has nothing to do with the Empire at all.
Warrior of Light.
Yeah, Warrior of Light. His motive is to get to him and destroy him and ruin him and everything he loves and has joy and just everything. Rip us from the inside out.
Okay.
He even taunts us at the end.
Why set up this prisoner exchange then? Like, what's that all about?
He wants us to see everyone die around us. He wants to create a situation where the Warrior of Light fails spectacularly. And and people don't praise the Warrior of Light anymore. That's how I feel. He wants to kill all the prisoners, he wants to kill Hien, he wants to kill Ygritte, and he wants it all to happen while the Warrior of Light is there. And he probably wants the Warrior of Light to live, so that he has to live with that failure.
Okay. Asahi said something like very telling about his like allegiances and his motives. And that was that Xenos was supposed to lead us being, the Empire, onto a glorious new age.
Which tells you he has no loyalty to Varys.
Yeah, he thinks that Xenos has aspirations for the throne.
Yeah.
And he thinks that what he is doing is ultimately going to be putting Xenos on the throne. And I seriously doubt that Xenos cares about any of that.
Nope. I think he made that very clear after we beat Shinryu.
And my audio is cut out. Hang on.
Really? I hear it fine. Oh, he can't hear us. There you go. All right. Yeah. I was like,
we're good
what?
now.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say I can hear you. Oh, you might. You can hear us. Got it.
Yeah. Hang on.
All right.
Yeah. No, we're good. Yeah. So I think that Asahi thinks that he's going to be working to put Xenos on the throne, and that he's going to, have an important role to play in Xenos' new empire. But obviously Xenos doesn't give a shit about that. Xenos has got nothing left other than the memory of this feeling of being alive that he had when he fought us, that he's going to spend the rest of his existence chasing, right?
Big. So he wants if that's
if that is Xenos, okay.
All right. Yeah, you know how I feel.
Okay. I know how you feel.
Yeah, I have a feeling that all he wants is to sow even more discord than the last time. It's going to be like a constant, it's like a drug addict. He doesn't get he has to do even more to get the high this time, pretty much.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable. So basically we all agree that the Populares and the Optimates, that's a real thing that's going on, but it's not a thing that Asahi is invested in. What Asahi is invested in is working for Daddy Xenos and putting Daddy Xenos in a position of power.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm suspecting with the prisoner exchange, might be, so we remember how we give someone the artificial echo.
Yeah.
You need like a model for the transplant, the copying, whatever it is, and then you need a whole bunch of bodies to sacrifice in one place.
Yeah.
So a couple of people are speculating that maybe Asahi is trying to steal our echo, and that the prisoner exchange is going to just be fuel for that process.
Wouldn't surprise me, especially with, again, he wants the Warrior of Light to be in negative light. He doesn't want them, he kind of wants them dead, but he more so wants them to be humiliated more than anything. And what would be more humiliating than your power being used for this terrible thing?
I'm trying to think who else he could possibly steal the echo from that.
They got Kryl, no problem, so I'm sure they could find somebody at this point.
Yeah.
Well, they could use Kryl again. Kryl's still
Yeah, but she's busy with something that we'll be learning in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think that we're the target because we're the one that beat Xenos. Obviously we're the most powerful echo user as far as
Yatsuyu has the echo, correct?
Nope.
No, she does not have artificial echo. Only Fordola and Xenos, I think, are the
as far as we know.
Yeah, as far as we know, those are the only successful ones, people who didn't die, I guess, from the experiments. Somebody presented an idea to me during the week where if more and more echo enhanced Garleans begin popping up. This basically allows them to use magic in a sense. This is a magic infusion. This starts to lead into the idea of a group of Garleans being able to summon primals, or being more akin to primal summoning. I don't think you need to be a magical being to summon a primal, but if you're echo enhanced like Isael was, then it opens up a different possibility, like with Xenos and Shinryu.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and I think that is definitely something that they're going to be about. Varys doesn't seem to be so I guess cautious about handling primals. He went to Azazla to try and procure neurolinking technology so that he could neuralink and trap primals and use them in the way that the Allergans did. So if he has a way to do that with these sort of echo enhanced super soldiers, he's going to jump on that. He's going to go for it. And I think that is very likely a sort of big antagonist for us in the future, is having to face this whole faction of echo enhanced super Garleans. But I don't think it's happening just yet.
Is this where they introduce the Garlean race, but they're all echo enhanced to explain it in the story?
Well, that would be sufficient. If
you really allow them to keep experimenting on people as a,
Well, you don't need to be experimented on. Okay, so if the Warrior of Light was a Garlean, right, you could be someone that was experimented on, or you could just be someone that has the echo, like everyone else that has the echo has it.
Sure.
Either of those is sufficient explanation. Anyway, that's not really either here nor there.
So one thing about Asahi that we kind of skipped over to talk about the more juicy details was him hiring the Kojin.
Yes,
and we're saying
which he absolutely did.
He absolutely did. I think it's even. I mean, the characters even say, "I wouldn't be surprised if those Kojin were paid to be like they." I think Hien says it.
Yeah.
They're mercenaries.
Yeah, he's trying to orchestrate this conflict between Doma and the Kojin to basically to prevent them from becoming allies. I think is a huge.
It felt more to me like he wanted to prove he was on the same side as us.
Yes. Yeah.
When the people's trust, in my opinion.
Yeah, like he literally had the small Doman child, and he
sets up this moment of him looking like a hero and giving credence to his argument that they need to sort of unite to be able to stop the beast tribes. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
Kojin show up and be like, wait, this wasn't what we were told. All right, well, we're going to fight. So that's what he's paid to do.
I think the other thing that that he did in aid of that was, well, what do you guys think about the mirror?
Oh, the one he hands Yatsu?
And says that he hopes that she remembers.
I think that's probably, honestly, for a second I thought it was a Kojin relic. That has.
I think
that's what I was thinking too.
That was the first thing I thought of, was that it was a Kojin. That it was a Kojin relic.
Well, there were 3 relics that were brought together to summon Susano.
Yeah,
there was a sword. There was a jewel. There was a mirror.
Yeah,
mirror.
I'm pretty sure that he's stolen that from the Red Kojin vault, and he's going to make sure that the Red Kojin know where it ended up. And again, that's about orchestrating more conflict between the Kojin and the Domans. Because the Domans, they don't know that Yotsu has got that. No one saw him give that to Yotsu. So they're going to have these Red Kojin showing up on their doorstep saying, oh, you stole one of our relics. And Hien's going to be like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And that's going to lead to some serious conflict.
Is it going to lead to as much conflict as we're thinking? Because it's just the Red Kojin. It's not the Blue Kojin. I mean, and everybody and their mom knows the Blue Kojin are the ones to be trusted.
Well, okay. So what happened when the Ananta Kalyana rocked up to the Alamegan peace talks?
They summoned the Primal. They summoned Lakshmi.
So what happens if the Kojin rock up with the sword and the jewel?
You think all Kojin will be blamed on that?
Of course they will. Yeah, of course they will.
That's how we've treated the Beast Tribe so far. You know how hard it was for during every Beast Tribe quest, like initiation, for any of the Enlightened races to trust any form of Beast Tribe?
We don't think, most of the, like you say, the Enlightened races, we don't think of the Beast Tribes as having like separate factions. We think of them all like representing this single-minded agenda. And if one Kojin summons Susano, then all Kojin are in on it, basically, as far as we're concerned.
I mean, we're smarter than that, but you can't convince the masses.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we might end up getting a single player instance in the main scenario quest with us fighting Susano.
I'm down for that. Susano's a good boy.
Should be pretty cool. Yeah.
I wouldn't be more surprised to have another one against Xenos at the exchange specifically. Not to say we couldn't have 2. We had 2 solo instances this time. Obviously, again, one against the Imperials, one against the Kojin, but and that kind of follows the same threads there. One against the Kojin, one against the thing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Kojin try to drop in on the exchange, but then the exchanges go south because the exchange is never meant to go well in the first place. It just leads to back-to-back events of a lot of really bad things happening.
Yeah, which I'm sure is the idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of really exciting things set up. It just sucks that it's basically, hey, she doesn't remember anything, and now we have to wonder if she will for the next 3.5 months.
But what happens if she does? Because on one hand, she hates the Domans, but on the other hand, she probably hates her brother even more.
Yeah, her brother is not exactly a shining light in her life.
Her brother is the reason that she was sold.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if she gets her memory back, obviously her first reaction will be to, kick against the Domans. But if she realizes what's really going on and that these Garlands are not actually being represented they're not representing the Garlean agenda, they're representing her brother's agenda. That could be really interesting.
I think she's just gonna kill herself in the end. I think she's got too many strings pulling her in too many different directions. I think she's gonna kill herself. I'm not kidding.
Really?
I do.
That would be really dark for Final Fantasy 14.
I mean, it's not the first time someone's off them. Well, presumably off them.
It's not the first time someone's tried.
Yeah, at the very least, it's not the first time. Hey, we haven't seen Papalymo in a while, so.
Well, that wasn't suicide.
That was sacrifice. I mean, it was, but it was of a noble kind. It was of a nobler intention. I don't think there's any way she gets any form of redemption, and at the same time, I don't think there's any way. Yeah, on either side, I don't think there's any way this ends well for her.
Well, she can't stay in Doma.
She can't stay in. I almost tried to put your accent on it instinctively after hearing you say it. I can't. She can't stay in Doma, and there's no way she can go back with her brother. There's just. And I don't think she'd want to serve anyone. I think Lord Xenos is the only one. I think that's the only thing that would keep her there. But I have my own theories about him. Because she has respect for him, but not for... Kind of like her brother, not for necessarily everyone
I don't think
else.
she has respect for anyone.
Well, she's kind of too psychopathic to really have respect, I guess. She can tolerate him. All right, we'll use that.
So with this, does this mean the end of Gosetsu too? Because you got to remember he's... like her protector now.
Yeah, well, Gosetsu's taking this position of, well, we've all sinned. He says, at whose feet do these sins lie, is what he asks. And he's making the point, he's saying, well, I've done horrible things. You've done horrible things. The captain in the Doman Resistance and probably most of the other people in the Doman Resistance have done horrible things. It took them over a decade before they actually stood up against the Garlands, and right up until that time they were all colluding and collaborating with the Garlands in the oppression of their own people. So I think he's going to hold on to that position. I don't think he's necessarily going to die.
I think he's gonna die protecting.
I hope he does.
Yatsuyu.
I think he's dead too.
Wow, really?
I think him and Yatsuyu are dead before the end of this expansion.
I hope he does, because when we thought he was dead in 4.0, it was so poignant. We've taken that away from him. You know what I mean? Like we've interrupted like this really, really good character arc. And I was making this joke after 4.0 that I thought it would be really interesting and really funny if Gosetsu just spends like the rest of Stormblood like trying to achieve this noble sacrifice and trying to like, die so these friends can escape, or so that, he can save Doma or whatever. And just keeps failing over and over again, just like can't die.
He's like a reverse Kenny.
Yeah, and I thought that would be like really, really funny. But it seems as they're not going to play him that way, and that's fine. But I think he still does need to. He needs to close the loop somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think he makes it to 5.0. I don't think him or Yatsuyu make it to 5.0.
Yatsuyu is a possibility. I think Yatsuyu.
I didn't say it's not a possibility. I just said I don't think either of them will make it.
Yeah, I just think it's a possibility that Gosetsu dies protecting Yatsuyu, and kind of Yatsuyu just lives on to kind of carry on his mission, so to speak, or his belief.
So one of the big things is after Asahi's tried to build this trust, and we've been talking about it a lot, he finally reveals his true intentions. The fact that he wants us to know is almost like comically silly, but at the same time, it's like, because I remember Ethys, you were like, we're gonna tell everyone around us that just happened, right?
Yeah,
like we're not gonna.
And we do.
We do.
Yeah, I was thinking this. I was like, please don't tell me we keep this a secret. Please. He just literally walks up to you. He's like, I'm gonna ruin you.
I'm gonna ruin you. Go ahead. Get mad.
His face just 180s and becomes like the most evil-looking thing you've ever seen.
It was really funny though, because I play an Elzen, so he's like up to my belly button.
He's trying to threaten you from like,
I'm gonna get you. I'm like, all right, let's go.
I'm sorry, could you get a step stool or something? I can't hear you from down there.
But then I see some screenshots of him like doing it to a Lalafell, and I'm like, all right, that'd be pretty intimidating.
I mean, to be fair, everything is intimidating when you compare talking to a Lalafell. Imagine going into turn 13 as a Lalafell. You're like, all right, well.
All right.
Still did it, though. Apparently when you're a Lalafell, he'll kneel.
Really?
He'll kneel and make the angry face?
He'll make sure he gets as close to eye level to you as possible.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it just wasn't. I was like, really? Like, do you know who the fuck I am?
And that's the thing. He knows, and he wants you to know that he knows, and he wants you to know that he does not give a fuck.
He really doesn't. He's like, go ahead, get mad. Get mad. Ruin these negotiations that just happened. Please.
Yeah, attack me.
And
come on, hit me.
Is that like, Han's right that we do have to play along. We have to play along because if there's any chance of being able to recover these prisoners, then he has to take the chance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No choice, unfortunately.
And I mean, the thing that Asahi doesn't reveal, the most important thing, is that Xenos is still around.
Yeah, he even when he's speaking to you, he says, "When you killed my master." Like he does not want us to know, which is even more telling about what he wants to happen at this event.
Yeah, and speaking of that, what did we think of the flashback with Asahi and Xenos?
It's how do I describe it? It's almost like when Fordola was cornered, except that this time Big Daddy Xenos showed up instead of her dad taking a rock to the face.
So that flashback, that was back to the same time frame as 2.0.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And this is a really important thing for people to recognize, because a lot of people get confused about like Xenos' timeline and how long he's actually had the resonant for. He had it in 2.0. The Domans, basically the Garland Civil War kicked off during 2.0. And Gaius ignored it and was like, nah, I've got shit to do here in AOLZ with Ultimate Weapon. You guys sort it out. I'll see you later. He was basically AWOL at that point. The Doman saw, oh, sweet, Garlean Civil War. Here's our opportunity to rebel and get our nation back. So Xenos is shipped out, fresh with the Resonant, and basically single-handedly shuts him down. What is this?
It's him bending down.
Oh my god.
Sweet.
That's so good.
Wow.
That is so good. Oh, that's hilarious.
It's I love
that would look like, now that we think about it, that does look intimidating as fuck.
I mean, the Warrior of Light looks unfazed still. With a goatee like that, I don't blame them. It's like, what, you looking at me? You can't even grow facial hair, bitch. Oh, man.
So the flashback is basically to the Doman Rebellion, which the Garlands are trying to suppress, and Zaddy Xenos saves Asahi's life, and he goes, "Oh, that's sand pie."
That's
Holy
sand
shit.
pie right there.
No,
that's also the
cutscene
cutscene where he gets a katana. That's where he
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. Was that the first time he picked up a katana?
Yes.
It's like, I like this.
Okay, and then he goes off to kill Lord Kyan.
Yes.
Man, what a fortunate series of events for him. Oh, nice. I like this. Right? To be fair, he could have killed Kyan with just Resonant alone. He didn't need the fucking sword, but it helps. Right. It helps. So yeah, and then that's when we learn in the post credits, or I guess the post game scenes, is that Xenos Galvus is alive.
Thoughts?
Or is he?
Thoughts.
So, what we see Xenos looking not nearly 10 feet tall like he does, because he's sitting down again. He's sitting down for once. And he's got a cloth around his neck.
Yeah, he's got a bandage.
I was like, throat. That's not gonna work. Your wounds are a little Probably a little deeper than that.
Mm.
I don't think that's Xenos.
Okay.
Who do we think it is?
That is Elidibus.
Okay. All right.
I think back to Elidibus revealing his face to Varys, and what would piss Varys off more than seeing his own dead son's face? He's like, how could you? And he's like, but I got this. What Elidibus is actually doing, I couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think a fake echo is gonna let him respawn at his home point.
It's not fake. It's the same as any other echo.
The replicated echo, the resonant.
Okay.
I don't think the resonant's gonna let him slit his throat and respawn at his home point. To be fair, I don't know how they got the body out of there, but all the same.
There was no body there. I think that it's killing someone with the echo is no simple thing. What do we have to do to destroy an Ascian?
Lots of ether.
Okay. We have to trap their soul in a special container and then blow it up with a whole bunch of ether. We have to science the shit out of it. There is no difference between an Ascian and anyone else that has the echo. They're Ascians because they have the echo. Destroying their body is not sufficient.
Nope.
It's not sufficient to kill them. It's not enough. It shouldn't surprise us just because Xenos hasn't sort of had that experience before, just because he hasn't like fallen in battle before. I think that he thought he was going to die. He thought he was killing himself, and it didn't work because he's got the resonant, because he's got the echo. So he's like, shit, what are you serious? What do I do now? And what does he do now? He's just had this epiphany, basically, where the only time he's ever felt alive is when he's fighting us and when he's on the sort of very, very brink. And that's all he's got. He's like, well, I can't go past that. So now I die. Oh shit, I can't die. So what do I do? What does he do? He's got to chase that, doesn't he? He's got to chase.
He's also got to assume we can't die either.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up.
So that's the position that he's in. And I think he's letting Asahi believe that he has aspirations for the throne, so he can sort of use Asahi to, basically put himself in the position where he can have that experience again.
Here's where I get my thoughts.
Somebody took my thought in the chat. I can't wait for this.
Asahi's going to end up killing Xenos.
Mm-hmm.
Not for the throne, not for political gain or anything. Kind of piggybacking off of what we talked about with the whole Brutus name. I think near the end of Stormblood, near the end of 4.0, Asahi's going to end up killing Xenos.
You think so?
Then we'll kill
He'll
Asahi.
make Daddy proud. He gave him that rush of living on the edge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he can.
I don't know if he'll assist us with it.
I don't even think he could orchestrate an assassination against him. Not to mention actually defeat him, regardless of obtaining the resonant. Which I think Asahi will have the resonant at some point. I don't think he has it now. I think he will have it. And if anything, he wants us to give it to him, like Ethys was explaining.
Yeah.
Because he wants Daddy to be proud. Now, someone brought up the point. I was going to bring it up, but Slyh raised his hand in class first. Ysael?
Okay. Ysael. Okay, so where's Ysael?
Echo gifted, gone. Dead.
So what happened? What happened to her when she died?
She was shot by a big-ass cannon while she was a summon, while she was a primal. I'm assuming that because she took the form of a primal, when her ether dissipated, it dissipated.
I think it's more the point that she got hit by a barrage of missiles and it absolutely obliterated her corporeal form, right? So Ysael's soul, her anima, could be drifting around the live stream somewhere. We know that someone that has the echo, their soul doesn't like break apart in the live stream like normal people do. So it could still be drifting around somewhere. But the thing is,
I've seen it once.
Her body got vaporized. Xeno slit his throat. There's a bit of a jump there, isn't there? Xenos' body wasn't destroyed. He just slit his throat. And then presumably realized that wasn't sufficient and thought, shit, all right, okay, I guess I better bandage that up. I guess that's not going to kill me.
They dig up a body in 4.1. Wasn't a grave dug up in 4.1 or something?
Well, they were saying that his body had disappeared. I don't think they mentioned anything about a grave. I think they were more saying that his body in the menagerie, when they went to collect it, was not there.
Just got walked away.
And yeah, again, it's possible that it's possible that Elidibus took it and just sort of walked out with it.
For anyone wondering, if you didn't know,
that Bernie's type and shit.
For anyone wondering, by the way, if you didn't know that, you're like Ascians have possessed alive people in the Summoner questline, they possess dead people. Just
yes,
as a point of reference, they have done it. Just you don't see Lahabrea does it with Thancred, who's still alive, as opposed to what happens in the Summoner. So just for anyone goes there with that, they have proven they can do it if they really want to.
Okay. Well, again, it's possible that Elidibus took the body, but then we have to ask, whose body was Elidibus using before that? It just sort of raises more questions, doesn't it?
I mean, how do
we keep track of that?
I'm just saying, he must have been using someone's body before that, right?
Yeah, but did we ever keep track of who he used before?
No, we had no idea who he was using before. We do know that he showed up in a corporeal form almost immediately after Gaius disappeared.
Hey, that was one of my guesses.
Are we still on this?
Back in 4.0, I did say when we saw him take the mask off, Gaius was one of the potentials. I did say that.
And I think Gaius, look, you guys know what I'm like with Gaius. When someone does an unveiling or whatever, or when someone's wearing a mask and we don't know who it is, it's Gaius until proven otherwise. That's what I'm concerned. The Griffin was Gaius until proven otherwise. All right,
come on now. You fucking knew that wasn't anyone but...
No, the Griffin was Gaius until proven otherwise.
You knew exactly who it was.
No.
Schrodinger's Gaius.
Unakalhai was Gaius' son until proven otherwise.
That's one motherfucker we've let
Who
ride.
was his wife?
We've let ride for too long.
Who was his wife?
He didn't have a wife. It was what's her name?
The one who died with Lahabrea?
Yeah. Shit.
Igathorm?
No. Livia.
Livia?
Yeah.
For some reason I was still going with Elidibus. Not I was still thinking Elidibus and not Gaius. Yeah, there you go.
And I mean, it was obvious that the Griffin was Ilbert. However, they were saying well, he's been burned beyond recognition apparently, and if the Garlands knew who he was, they'd send a legion after him. And there's all these rumors going around, which was so obvious. Koji being like, is it Gaius? Mm-hmm. He's just jingling some keys at me, and the Anonymous being like, huh? So, Elidibus is Gaius until proven otherwise.
I'm going with, because chat brought this up, the Echo is not the Blessing of Light, and we need to clarify that. They are two different things.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Echo lets you survive having your throat slit. I think the Blessing of Light, maybe.
The only difference between the Echo and the Blessing of Light is that with the Blessing of Light, you have these basically giant ether pool stacks in your back pocket. That's the only difference.
Does the Blessing of Light let you see into the past? Because I'm pretty sure that's the Echo.
That's the Echo, exactly. Yeah. The only thing that the Blessing of Light does is gives you this massive reservoir of ether. That's all.
Man, you know what I just remembered? Chat brought it up. Whatever happened to the storyline of the Sahagin that had the Echo? Like, obviously we know what happened to him, but what?
Exactly, there's another one. Well, he got absorbed.
We know what happened to him, but like his obtaining of the Echo.
Well, that story was basically demonstrating that it's possible to give the Echo artificially. That the Echo can be.
So they were setting that up for the resin.
Produced.
Pretty much,
yeah, but in that case, it was being
the
given
blessing
by...
also has regen, so it probably regens his throat because the blessing's what gives you regen in solo instances too.
We're back to your original. Go ahead.
We're going like way outside the scope of today's discussion, but I have this theory in the back of my head. Given that we know the Echo can be made artificially, given we know that the Echo was given to that Sahagin by Elidibus, presumably, I have this idea that our Echo, the origins of it is not Hydaelyn, and that Hydaelyn's co-opted it, but our Echo is more convenient to the Ascians than it is to anyone else, given that it allows them to perpetuate the summoning of more powerful primals. So we get more powerful, so the primals get more powerful, so we get more powerful, so the primals get more powerful, and you escalate into chaos and, basically a torrent of rejoinings and then Zodiark, right? There's a part of me that really strongly suspects that we were actually given the Echo not by Hydaelyn, but by the Ascians.
And the blessing from Hydaelyn is...
and that the blessing from Hydaelyn and everything that Hydaelyn has done subsequently is just trying to make the best of a really, really dire situation.
I mean, yeah, we still have the Archbishop and the way he looked at us. He's just like, what are you?
But back to the point, yes, absolutely, the Echo is sufficient for you to be able to cut your throat and not die.
I still think it's Elidibus. I'm riding the Elidibus train.
All right. Okay.
That's where I'm staying with that one.
That's good.
Overall, a lot of these things probably won't have all of them answered in 4.3. We'll at least get a deeper look into Asahi Sus Brutus. More exciting is the Doma Enclave for me in 4.3, which we know will be taking a precedence as the crafting and gathering Beast Tribe quests, with a lot of main characters and such. I hope it becomes our Idleshire, to be honest.
Yeah, I hope so. It's more interesting than Ragha's Reach at the moment. I mean, Ragha's Reach is really cool, but...
Ragha's Reach has a lot of story, but it's also... It's not. Ragha's Reach has got a lot of history to it, especially with the Temple of the Fist at the top.
The Temple of the Fist is around, but I just don't...
But it's also completely
when I knew
worthless.
That was...
Because Ragha's Reach right now functions as the connection, as sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? The point of communication between the other city-states and the not yet fully functional Alamigo itself. But it also has remained a complete shithole for 2 patches now, and I would like to have something that looks a little nicer.
Yes. Yep.
So
I agree.
That's where I stand. You can fucking plan out all you want, Lise, whatever you actually think you're doing there, but we got other shit. Yeah, she ain't doing shit. But anyway. So that covers most of 4.2. I don't think there's any point we didn't hit on that isn't like a hot topic there. Obviously we have to talk about Sorobod and his part, but that's when we go into talking about the 4 lords. Which I guess we can cover next, since it is that and Fractal are kind of the next big thing. So 4 lords already better than the entirety of the Warring Triad story. I think the only detail from the Warring Triad story I liked was Unakalhai. Like, Regula was completely underplayed. Each of the Triads themselves had an interesting backstory, but it wasn't a focal point of the current story. That was just their history and lore within the world.
It filled out like the whole Mercidian War and told us like so much about the Alligans.
That's what I'm saying, but it didn't apply.
It answered so many questions though. We're like, why is Xande so fucking big and ripped when we fight him in Crystal Tower? Oh, because
that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between the story being told and the lore being established.
Okay. Yeah, all right, I'll give you that.
The lore that was established there. Yeah. Okay. The lore established there was fantastic. In the Warring Triad.
What's so great about the story of the 4 lords then?
The story of the 4 lords not only building out the lore, but it's actually got a fucking story that doesn't feel like, that was a fucking waste of my time, which is how it felt. I felt like the Warring Triad story was a complete waste of time outside of learning who Unakalhai was.
Well, the Warring Triad storyline was like, well, if these things wake up, they're gonna do a lot of
Exactly. We've been doing that for fucking 4 years with every primal. I don't care anymore.
Every primal.
Yeah. And you know what the Four Lords story is? Hey, if this Zoryu guy wakes up, he's gonna cause a lot of damage, and we need to stop that from happening. It's the same fucking story.
No, there's a lot more going on.
Okay, what's going on?
Again, lore versus story, but I feel like the way it's being presented here with the auspices and Hell's Lit itself and everything, it's just far more. It's approachable. It's far more interesting. There's the characters. There's actually characters that are being developed throughout this story. Genbu and the rest of the Four Lords are actually being developed.
There's actually interaction with.
There's actually interaction with the primals themselves. There's a lot more going on here. Like Sephiroth, you know what Sephiroth's interaction with you was? Ugh! Who the fuck are you?
That's it.
Yeah, okay. That's
they're not primals, but yeah, there's interaction between like what we're going to be dealing with, rather than just, oh, hey, Sephiroth just showed up. Oh, Sophie's here. Nice tits. Hey, Zervan's here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we get.
Yeah, and Regula's like, all right, well, I guess I'll sacrifice myself for this. All right, I didn't find anything useful, so it's all right. It's whatever. Then Nukalha is like, yeah, I had to make sure that this shit didn't happen. My master, by the way, it was one of the main villains of the plot, in case you didn't know that. We're going to let that go for the time being. No, it just happens to also be named Elidibus. I'm just saying. That motherfucker is still just chilling. And he just should not just still be chilling with what we know about him.
So they're not primals.
That was a small point because they like you said, they act effectively like primals for the sake of the storytelling, but they aren't.
Yeah, and I found this really interesting because at first I was like, all right, this is so left field. Like, how the fuck do they explain this? But it's actually pretty compelling. Tenzin was a warrior of light.
Yeah.
He had a crystal of light. Rather than gathering human scions around him, he was furry or something, and he got a big tiger and a big bird and
the auspices.
Yeah, and a big turtle. Basically, apparently, anyway, animals when they reach about 1,000 years of age, their anima has developed to the point where they're basically literate. They have a sort of higher sentience than beasts or monsters or whatever. And apparently when you combine that and expose them to a crystal of light, they get really buff.
They become capable of transformations to much stronger forms. Something I didn't pick up when I was going through Hell's Lit until it was explained was that we were fighting only auspices in the Hell. As soon as they explained who the auspices were, I went back and figured it out because I was like, oh, we're chasing this fox, and then I was like, oh, we were fighting auspices as we were going through Hell's Lit.
Yeah, we were fighting lesser auspices. Yeah.
And the weed in me just go ahead.
The Four Lords basically they have this shrine dedicated to Tenzin where they keep this crystal of light. And they go around the realm identifying other animals that have reached this age and then collecting them, bringing them back to the shrine. And then via exposure to that crystal of light, they gradually grow in strength until they become super buff Tiger Daddy.
Yeah, and it is worth mentioning that it is explained if you go around talking to the NPCs that the Tamamo is also an auspice, though one that had fell to their what's the term? I give me the term for the evil inside them. What is it?
Aramagatama.
Yeah,
Chimichangas.
No, that's what's her face? Lakshmi. She's the one with the chimichangas.
Oh, yeah, my bad. She's the one with the chimichangas.
They're Aramatama. Yeah, yeah, they're Aramatama. Yeah, that's another thing that was interesting. I thought was learning about Tamamo.
Which I think is like ontological. I think it's the same thing as like the warriors in a beast, or the same thing as like the darkness that the Dark Knights refer to. It's basically once you're exposed to a lot of ether, you've got a lot of ether building up inside yourself. You've got to kind of keep it balanced, otherwise you go off the rails.
Yeah. And we see that playing. It's not the first time we've been exposed to that theme, but there's a little bit more at stake here if the auspices, fall to their Aramitama, and one that has completely fallen is Koryu.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he is going to be the center point, which makes a lot more sense when Slyh gets a Slyh Jesus moment, and Genbu was the last boss of Hell's Lid, as he had called it. So you get your Slyh. I said there's no way, because 4 lords, 4 dudes. We already know the 4 dudes. That's it. And then Genbu's here, so we already know who the 4.5 boss is now.
That still made me sad as fuck. I wanted Genbu as a primal fight.
Just wait for the ultimate version.
I love the explanation was that he was too old.
Yeah. He's an old turtle, and that's what I love about all the auspices, that they really lean heavily on Japanese myth and lore, because you see Inagami, you see Nue, Senri.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I forget the others. Yeah, I forget the other ones.
I like the fat cat, because the fat cat's like, I could kill you in a second. You wouldn't even.
Yeah, Senri.
Yeah, the fat cat's the best one.
Senri's not even that fat though either.
When they first brought them in, I was kind of worried, because I was like, all right, this is so different from like anything we've seen in Final Fantasy XIV before. Like, how do they explain that these things are possible? They just gonna like retcon it, like what's gonna happen? And they sort of tied it in with this whole like anima and like crystals of light, and I thought it was really, really well done. I'm really, really satisfied with it.
Yeah,
and it's obviously something that they've been thinking about for quite a long time as well.
Yeah. And as Ethys simplified it into, ultimately our goal is to ensure that all of the major auspices, the 4 lords themselves, do not fall to their Aramitama, and 3 of them are close to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the only way to get rid of it is to face it head on. And
the problem
is,
the problem is that they need to be in that sort of balanced state of mind in order to be able to hold the seal
that traps Koryu.
That traps Koryu. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is obviously going to fail, and we're going to have to fight Koryu anyway.
I mean, even what's her face? God, it's been so long since I've had to say her name. Come on, guys, Lalafell.
Kryl?
One.
No, the one who's there. It's been too long since I've had to say her name.
What?
Tataru.
There you go. It's just been so long. It's just been so long since I've said her name. I couldn't get it. Like, it's just my brain shut her name out completely. She's been a non-fact. As once we found out she wasn't pure evil, I kind of just forgot. Yeah,
she's still pure evil, but she's just like about the money.
There you go, Tataru.
Which was one of the main things about this story. Like,
the thing with Alpha, that was so fun.
Yeah, buying the sword. How much did she say it cost? It was like a house or something.
Yeah, it was enough for a large house. So it was like 42 million.
Yeah. So even Tataru straight up says, this is not going to work. So you got to be ready to fight him when he comes out, because we're going to free all their Aramitama. And we get to see Byakko. He's the first one. And I immediately took a liking to the way this was approached, because we were all under the impression that, again, they were all going to be primals, and that that's all it was going to be. They were just like, something happened and there's all these primals that are coming out now. Ooh. And I think having that expectation.
I think this is better. I think this is more interesting the way that they did it.
Yeah. It's and then you get to see Byakko. He presents himself as, in his balanced, controlled state. And then he basically just says, "Beat me up, daddy."
I really like the explanation that they made for the extreme mode Byakko. It was like, all right, you fought him in story mode and he was a bit of a pushover, but he's like really old. So this extreme mode is like what he was like before he got old and frail.
It's probably be Yoshida's explanation for all
not
of them.
that much.
Yeah. Well, it was the same.
He wasn't that much stronger as a youngin'.
He wasn't that much stronger, exactly.
Played a little bit too much Toho when he was younger. That's about it.
But it was kind of the same explanation for the Warring Triad. It was like, all right, well, you fought them when they were just sort of woozy and like waking up, and here's what they're like after they've had their morning coffee.
Wasn't it a training program for?
The training program was.
It was a training program to simulate them at their full power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a big fan. Byakko is the first primal, I guess primal, since we kind of just we default to calling trials primals almost nowadays.
Which is fun.
Yeah. He's kind of the first trial boss where we've almost seen like eye to eye with since Ramu. Susano you could kind of argue with, but the concept of actually connecting with our foe is not something that we get very often unless the foe wants it, like Xenos.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, we connected with Ravana, even though it was like the glory of battle.
I mean, I would say we so much connected with him as much as we were just like, yo, listen, we just need a way to solve this. And we're like, all right, fight. He's like, fight me.
We had some repartee with Ravana, and Sly's right about that. Is like that very rarely happens.
The ones that like to fight, or the really wise ones, are the ones that we level with, because that's it.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that aren't assholes for no reason. Ravana wasn't like, I want ether. Ravana's like, I want war. So he was crazed by something else. We're like, well, let's go. That's it. It's the only way to solve it then. But yeah, I'm happy to level. I always like leveling with the enemy a little bit more than just they're crazy. Just take care of them.
It's nice for them to be characters.
Yeah.
Which is the problem with so many of the primals, and the thing that frustrates me with so many of the primals, because I feel like all the primals have a potential to be characters and to have, motivations, and to have like characters, to have personalities.
And they don't.
They just never do.
A good example is Garuda. Her history is that she was actually a benevolent god once, and then she battled a giant snake and drank its. No. That's in the Ixal. In the Ixal's history, okay. The idea is that she was once a benevolent god, and then battled. I think it was a giant snake, and then to survive had to drink its blood, and it sent her into a raging bloodlust or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's there. But you know what we see? That's all. That's all we really get to see of her.
Yeah, pretty much.
And what I like about Byakko is now that he's there, he's not dead. We ended the fight. He's not dead. We freed him as Armatama. He's there to freely interact with the next portions of the story and play a role in dealing with Siryu and Suzaku, the two remaining.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. And then finally, Koryu. Who, Koryu, for anyone wondering, because I know there's probably some Final Fantasy XI people out there, another name for Kirin. Because this is a story that's very similar to the one, or the characters, I should say, are from Final Fantasy XI, and we're all together there too. They're part of a Japanese mythology, but, seeing them all grouped up here is nostalgia.
But more importantly, they're from Final Fantasy XI.
Yeah, but more importantly, they're from Final Fantasy XI.
Right?
Hey, this Byakko, as much as I like the meme on that fight list, and I'll take it over just being a tiger, which was the original fear, that it was just we're fighting a tiger, whoop-de-doo. I'll take... it
was a great fight. It was cool.
I'll take Rule 34 Byakko over just regular tiger Byakko.
Is that what we're calling it, Rule 34 Byakko?
Yeah, Rule 34 Byakko. That's it.
Okay.
Old man Genbu.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, he's not Rule 34 Genbu. That's not going to fly.
Yeah. He's just a fucking old man. Yeah,
there you go. Then we move over to the Fractal Continuum, which generally we don't get to say too much, but this was a nice kind of follow-up / conclusion to both of the Ixal storylines that have been presented, both in the Fractal Continuum normal mode and the Ixal Beast Tribe quests. And also we got to figure out what the fuck else is going on in the Fractal Continuum, which is a little scary, to be honest, what they were working on in there. For a museum, it doesn't seem very
Well, it's not just a museum.
Well, we know that now. We know that for certain now. It's also a factory for Ultima weapons, which is probably where Proto Ultima came flying out of.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Fractal Continuum. I mean, what else is there to say? The Ixals learn the truth.
Yeah. Well, one of the Icadal 9 basically decides to steal the airship. He wants to go and see Outland. He wants to find it. Turns out, surprise, it's Azazla. And he gets shot down and crash lands in the Fractal Continuum and is sort of wandering around there trying to work out why the hell nothing is aggroing him. And then he finds that exhibition, which we found the first time we were in there, of the Ixalian, and he's like, this is me. This looks like me. What the fuck? And that was really cool because I was really hoping that we were going to get some sort of, payoff there.
They had to figure it out at some point. Like when we never got to the point of,
they didn't have to. That's the thing. It's like they could have just left it, and it was like, all right, well, we know. They don't need to know. We know.
I mean, here's the thing with the account with I would have said that if not for the fact they had the Ixal Beast Tribe with them building an airship to get them back. Like that alone told me at some point they have to succeed and actually get to their homeland, which somehow the stories got pretty skewed from where they originally started.
Yeah.
Over the millennia in which the stories were retold.
I mean, this is my question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I was just going to ask, where did the name Ayatlan come from?
Well, it's
Slyh.
It's obviously like a derivative or a bastardization of Slyh.
Yeah, it's very close to Slyh.
It's very, very, very close.
Yeah.
I mean, they believe that they came from this island in the clouds. That they were created by their god Garuda up there, and turns out that's more or less how it happened.
Man, if we had got this information to them faster, we might have one less primal to deal with.
Yeah.
Now, if you present it to them, they wouldn't give a shit. The ones that are tempered, they wouldn't give a shit if they learned this all of a sudden. But the ones that aren't tempered, they're honestly, I was kind of impressed with how they handled it at best.
Yeah. Well, Dezul Kalan basically said, "Well, we'll find our Ayatlan somewhere else.
We'll find our own. Like if that's not what we were told the promised land, we'll make sure that we have one to tell the future generations, a real one, pretty much. And that's pretty much as good of a reaction as you're gonna get, as opposed to basically feeling like your life's work was for nothing, which was the alternative.
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool. So obviously the other really cool thing in there was the fact that was the facility where they were designing Ultima, and we fight all of these Ultima prototypes. And the thing that I thought was really cool was that an important part of the Ultima prototyping was them working on this AI to replicate the abilities of primals.
Yeah.
And the way they were doing it was, and explains why that they have these simulations, why they were running these simulations for us for the Warring Triad Extreme, is because it was basically these programs that they were setting up that they could have an AI basically study in order to be able to replicate those abilities or whatever. And that was obviously what they were trying to do before, presumably the Asians gave them the heart of Sabik and was like, just absorb the primals, easy, do it that way. Yeah. Which obviously came later. I thought that was really cool as well.
Yeah, it's always good to see the Allagans, because a lot of our current perception of them comes from what the Asians gave them and Omega. Like that's we get to see a lot of how their technology advanced after those 2 points. Now we could probably presume that Ultima is after they have Omega still, because they're they're almost definitely using his design and his I guess being as a prototype itself. And you see that in when the Garleans are trying to replicate Ultima, and you see Omega-ish appendages in there too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of information that backs up that Ultima is based on Omega, which is also normal with the other Final Fantasies.
It's how they develop etheric chemistry in general. Like Omega has got this ability, as far as what it looks to us, to sort of create life out of nothing, out of these constituent components. But really, the Allagans have reverse engineered that. And when we see these vats full of these green goop where they're breeding these chimeras, that's what they're doing. They're doing the same process as what Omega does.
Just not summoning them out of nothing.
Yeah.
They're biologically building them out of nothing.
Well, Omega's biologically building them. He's just doing it a lot faster.
Yeah.
And a lot more efficiently.
Much more.
Yeah.
As we've learned. And then the Ultima Beast, I guess, is their culmination of, I don't remember what the simulation describes during during the Ultima Beast encounter. I remember it during the Ultima Warrior where they're describing that it because of its unpredictability, it would leave enemies guessing, but I don't remember anything about the simulation during Ultima Beast or leading up to
the
it.
purpose of the Ultima Beast was basically that it could be like modified with a lot of like different appendages and different weaponry.
Makes sense, considering the way that fucked up looking thing.
Yeah. So basically, they were all like parts of the Ultima weapon, aspects of the Ultima weapon that they were sort of experimenting with.
It's too bad they never got to do anything with these. And it's hard to tell if, and now that we've been in there and seen that the factory is self-sufficient in a way, if we're gonna do anything with that.
Them out.
Yeah, like I don't recall. I don't think beating the Ultimate Beast just means all of a sudden as a Slyh doesn't operate on its own. I mean, to stay in the air, it has to operate. The technology has to somewhat operate on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it doesn't need a pilot. It's all self-sufficient.
You got all those AIs roaming about anyway.
Mm-hmm. All the nodes.
Well, the thing is, the thing that's powering the engine that keeps it afloat is the Warring Triad.
Yeah.
And if we've canonically defeated them, then we're going to assume that eventually, whether it's like 1 year or 10 years or 1,000 years, that it's like the battery is going to die and it's going to drop out of the sky.
Yeah.
I just don't think that it's going to happen. Like, I don't think we're ever going to see that happen.
No, I don't think so either. I think that the theory of the story taking place within the stretching bubble of time would prevent it from ever happening. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless a character in the story, they canonically want that character to expose that trait, but that would also have to acknowledge this doing the side quests of taking care of the Warring Triad, which becomes problematic for other reasons. Maybe they'll move as a Slyh to Eureka, which we'll get to after this next point real quick. We're going to do Omega real quick. I have about 35 minutes till raid, so let's hit what we can. And honestly, unfortunately, there's not much to say with Omega. Like, again, we don't have anything to say about the fights themselves because, once again, they're all simulations meant to test us, and none of the theories of the heroes being in play here or any sort of anything at all plays. There's just things that happen around those 4 simulations.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes.
We go back in, and he's like, "Hey, you're back. You beat the trash first." And then he's like, "Alpha, what are you doing? You got some stuff here, Alpha? You figured out? You got cards now?
Yeah,
cards now.
You want to tell us something about that?
Tell us something about that? You got cards now? Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is the weakest second part of a story that we've had of all 3 of the raid series so far.
It's almost the same as the first, so you can't really call it weak.
But that's the problem. All the other ones,
they were both weak. They were both weak.
Second part of Coil was pretty strong when we see Louis Slyh. After, and the second part of Alexander.
But again, we got an equivalent here with that confrontation finally between Midgardsormr and Omega.
It was nice to see, but I wasn't compelled by it. It didn't do it. All it did was make it so we aren't dead. That's it. That's all. It saved our lives.
What it did, it confirmed what the relationship between those two was. That they came from the same world. That Midgardsormr had tried and failed to stop Omega there. Well, we didn't know that. That's just what we assumed based on what we had. We got a hard confirmation now. And then that Midgardsormr subsequently took his eggs, fled to Hydaelyn, and Hydaelyn said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And Midgardsormr was like, "Oh, can you let us crash on your couch?" And Hydaelyn's like, "Yeah, fine, but only if you sacrifice your body to become effectively the first warrior of light, to become my bitch, and I will summon you whenever I need you, and that's going to be your existence. So you're going to have to sacrifice your life if you want your children to live here."
Very similar to what the Warriors of Darkness went through when they tried.
Exactly. Which is cool. And which also explains to us that Midgardsormr has never really been alive.
He's never been alive, and he's never been dead.
He didn't die at Silvertear. Basically what happens is that he sleeps in the life stream building up power, and then he expends that when he needs to defend Hydaelyn. And that's what he did at Silvertear. He wasn't like hiding beneath it. And now he's had to do that again to rescue us. And he has to like go to sleep for another, however long it is, a year.
However convenient it is for the storytelling.
Yeah.
Another expansion.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And it was frustrating. That was really frustrating me because Midgardsormr has literally all of the answers to everything.
He's been around for fucking
to everything. He's got the answers to all the Allegan shit we don't know, to everything about the War of the Magi, to literally any lore question you can think of. Midgardsormr has the answers to, and while he's been hanging around us, he's always had like the potential of maybe like filling in the blank.
And he just says, "Fuck you."
He just
and now he's like, "All right, I'm out. You can keep my mounts. I'm not there. Like you can use like the body, but I'm not in it. I'm out. See ya."
Which he had kind of already made apparent that wasn't a permanent.
Yeah.
That was, he just took that form for whatever, and then we have it. Yeah. That's the thing. Like before it starts, Omega wants us back. You go through it. We now know that Nail got poisoned by Omega because he was trying to simulate loss of an ally as a motivating factor, which seems to be working more on Cid than it's working on us, because which is a good thing. Which is one for me was the high point was the idea of Cid actually, how do I say this, fucking doing something for once.
Stop being such a pussy.
Yeah, that's all he does. He's like, man, I really need to learn about this technology, and then never talk about it again. And that's all.
Like Sid's been at the forefront.
Sid's there.
Been at the forefront, but the point that Nero makes is that Cid is he's being too cautious. He's being too careful.
He's a hypocrite.
He's not being what he's capable of being or doing what he's capable of doing because he's afraid to, make a scene, basically.
You said you can't call for freedom through technology when you yourself are
he's holding himself back.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid.
It's the opposite. He's not free at all because he's not doing any of the things he could be doing.
Yeah,
pretty much. Which was nice, but then all of a sudden I was like, well, but now by the way, I called Nero Nail, I think, and no one called me out on that.
Yeah,
Nero.
Just noticed that. Thank you.
What's it called? Nero. Now I'm sad that Nero's just like he had one cool moment, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to see where that goes. And then
he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back.
He'll be back.
I mean, we saw what happened the last time Omega attacked someone, and now they're back and in fancy outfits. Pretty much.
But you get the feeling that one of these days Omega's going to really cash in on this.
But the problem is he doesn't have much longer to cash it. Like at this point, all we know is that we've gone nowhere. We've learned things about characters that in no way feel like they're advancing Omega's story. Things are just happening around Omega.
So did you guys read the dialogue from the data logs?
I didn't read the data logs.
No.
Give them to me.
So they were talking about basically Omega and Bahamut. And that when the Primal Bahamut summoned, they started noticing this weird sort of energy reading, this sort of pattern being emitted by Omega, and they were like, "Oh shit, Omega's detected Bahamut and is like tracking Bahamut." Basically, Bahamut is something that's finally been at like a significant power level for Omega to be like, "Oh shit, what's that?" So they worked out how to activate Omega to allow it to go after Bahamut. And then apparently at the cost of basically a whole legion and hundreds of scientists, they worked out how to shut it down. They worked out how to shut Omega down. They worked out how to put it back to sleep. They worked out how to put it in stasis. That's what Sid's got.
Which we knew they had to have done because no way Omega just shut his mouth and then
obviously
didn't notice Shinryu was being born.
But we know for sure now that there is a way to do that, and there's a way to do that with Magitech, and that is ultimately how we defeat Omega. Because I mean, we've been saying since Omega was introduced, well, if we defeat Omega, mano a mano, like where do we go from there? He's the most powerful being in the universe. Like,
are you trying to set up the Sephiroth can be the last boss thing? Is that what you're trying to set up right now?
No.
Nobody's even said that. See, why are you even gonna go there?
I'm just saying that if we fight Omega as the final boss, without, you know, some bullshit tool being like, oh, press this button and it will shut him down if you press it at the right moment, or whatever the fuck it is. Basically, we would be at the point where you can't introduce anything that would scare the Warrior of Light anymore, because we defeated the most powerful being in the universe. The most powerful being the universe can possibly produce is Omega. So Sid's going to shut him down. We don't know how he's going to do that, but we know that he is going to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah. I am suspecting that we're still going to have to fight like an avatar of Omega as the final. But
I think he'll deem us still not worthy enough of a challenge, and then it'll come
and it's going to be one that's being basically gimped by Sid doing some bullshit.
It's gonna be really unfortunate when we have to defeat him in normal mode first.
Yeah.
So are you saying that once we're done with Omega, Omega goes to another shard?
No, we're gonna shut him down.
Once we're done with Omega, we shut him down. We shut him down. We put him back into
the ground.
Yeah, basically.
I know you mean
throw away
the
the
flats. You mean the cart?
Yeah.
I don't want to move his fucking body all the way back there, dude. That's a risk. Just leave it where,
leave it where it is, and we just we'd fill in the hole.
just fucking get a shovel and start like pouring dirt into the into the hole in the ground. That's it.
I think that's probably how it's gonna go. But you know, I wouldn't be opposed to hearing Soken's rendition of One Winged Angel at the same time.
You stop.
I would be fine. I've been thinking
about it. You know what? Soken make it and then release it outside of the game.
Look, I've been thinking about it long and hard. I've been thinking for the longest time that like having Sephiroth in Final Fantasy XIV would be so cliche and so cheap. But the way that they like put these bosses into Omega, the way that they did it for Kefka, like it was fine.
It was boring.
It was boring, but the thing is, like, if you introduce Kefka as like an actual character in the story of Final Fantasy XIV, it would compromise like the lore and the world of Final Fantasy XIV. It would be fucking awful if they introduced him as like a proper villain, and it would be the same as Sephiroth.
Not if he's a proper villain.
No, because then you're just like leaning into that idea of Final Fantasy XIV just only being fan service and only being derivative.
What the fuck have the last 8 raid fights been? That's all they've been.
I'm just saying that the last 8 raid fights are delivering that fan service without compromising the story or the world or the lore of Final Fantasy XIV.
Or being interesting at all.
If that's what you have to do, then fine. I mean,
don't do it. That's my problem. Then just don't do it.
We've still had this story with Omega and Midgardsormr, and it's been a very compelling story. It's taught us a lot that we don't know. It's filled in a lot of blanks. It's explained a lot of things. I think that if they are going to do this fan service bullshit, this is the way that they have to do it. And that's why I'm saying that if they do Sephiroth this way, it means that they won't do him any other way. And I'll be
that I agree with.
Fine with that. And I'll be totally fine with that.
Fan service in my Final Fantasy game. We didn't even get to suplex the train. What kind of fan service bullshit is this? This isn't.
I'm just saying, like you'd prefer to
levels to it.
We didn't get to suplex the. No, you can't put Siegfried in one of the cars and then tell me.
Wait, no.
Suplex the train.
But what about Cyan's wife at the end of 05?
That was fucked up for him to simulate. That was really fucked up because those were
kind of fucked up, wasn't it?
He's like, oh, let me simulate these dead people that A, are probably dead in a story, and B, still don't really exist because it's all a fucking simulation. What an asshole. I'm just saying. It's fan service the game. Like Crystal Tower is fan service, but well done. Whereas Omega is like, well, we don't want to ever have to write this shit in, so here you go.
Yeah, but I prefer
because it would be bullshit to write in.
It would be exactly. It would be fucking bullshit to write in.
Just
it would
don't
be
do
it. Like the way they did Yojimbo, that was good fan service. Yeah. I like the way he was implemented in Doma Enclave.
Kurenai Castle.
Yeah, but I mean, could you imagine
Castle,
if you just had like Sephiroth randomly showing up and like
no one's asking for that. We're just asking you don't have to take the main villain from another Final Fantasy. They don't have to exist. If that was the case, every Final Fantasy game would just do it.
But that's what people want. That's how they
every Final Fantasy game before 14 has had fan service without having to literally grab the last boss from the previous game. I don't understand why just because this one's online it all of a sudden has to do it.
It's not because it's online. It's because it's so much bigger.
It's because it's online.
It's not because it's online. It's because it's rather than like 60 hours of content, it's fucking thousands of hours of content.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you have to go there.
You don't have to. They chose to.
Yeah, they chose to because they're trying to sell copies of the fucking game because that's what people want. And I'm glad that they can find a way to do that without compromising the integrity of Final Fantasy XIV as its own story. That's all I'm saying. Like, if they have to do this, then this is the way to do it.
Xenos isn't our Sephiroth. Nail is our Sephiroth.
Nail's our Sephiroth. And if we got Sephiroth in the game, it would probably, I mean, in Omega, we could probably argue that it was like a hyperbolic version of Nail. In the same way that X-Death is almost definitely a hyperbolic version of Xande, and Kefka is quite likely a hyperbolic version of Amon.
I'm just saying, I feel like there's tasteful ways to do it, and I feel like there's, well, fuck it, we're out of ideas ways to do it. And for me, this is the we're out of fucking ideas way to do it. Crystal Tower is like a proper, everything makes sense, it's beautiful, it all comes together. Those are characters you'll remember for their integrations later.
So what did you want Kefka to be? Did you want Kefka? Okay, here's the alternative. Here's the alternative. Kefka is a Ghanaian court jester who basically does what Kefka does in Final Fantasy VI. And if they did that, it would be so fucking cheap.
We'd be like, have to have him. I'm not asking to have him do that. I'm just saying you don't have to have him.
Don't have Kefka at all.
You don't have to. Why did no other Final Fantasy needed it? Just because this one's the fucking theme park.
But
Dissidia is a different story. Dissidia's entire premise is here's the hero and villain from every game. You can't really you can't avoid having him. They could have. That's the case. They just said they never have to make it.
Look, people wanted it. People wanted. They give the people what they want, and that's fine.
Well, they didn't give them all of dancing mad in normal mode, so they didn't get everything.
Yeah, that's true.
They got fucked out of that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So anyway, moving on. We
you
have
good, Mike. You sure? You sure you're done?
Sure, we can move on.
You sure we can move on? I just want to make sure you got it all out your system right now before we go in.
I like Sly's. Slyh is just, this is fine. .jpg. Yep. The whole time he's like, I don't need to say a word.
I really don't, because you know how I feel about it. I mean, I'm okay with fan service. Like, if they stick Sephiroth in the next tier of Omega,
they won't.
I
said, they won't.
There's a very good chance that they will.
There's a good chance.
Just be prepared. Just be prepared for it.
Just be prepared.
I'm prepared. I'm mentally prepared for it. Like, I don't think it'll happen at this point. I don't think it's not. It can't happen.
We're gonna fight him in his normal form in story mode, and then in
Jenova
in Savage.
No, safer.
Yeah.
Safer stuff.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
Okay, so those cover all the major story points. It's not everything that there's a story behind in this patch, but they're the most major points to hit on. Two things that are coming up are the continuation of Hildebrand in 4.25. And there's also the implementation of Eureka the Forbidden Land. Now, Hildebrand, I don't think we can even begin to talk about what will happen in Hildebrand, because when has that guy ever been predictable? You know? So Eureka is something we have a few minutes left to talk about that. Eureka for me.
You mean 11?
Yes.
Okay.
So for Eureka, for me, when I saw the trailer, this was the part I was most invested in, was figuring out, watching the 4.2 trailer, that the scenes with Kryl were not part of the main story. They were part of Eureka the Forbidden Land. Yes. It will very likely have to do with what happened to the Isle of Val and the Dawn Warriors, which are characters from Final Fantasy V, one of which is her grandfather, Gulluf.
Who we see.
Yes, who we see. We see Gulluf, we see Zazat. I always forget all their names. I can never remember all four of the Dawn Warriors' names. I know Gulluf, Zazat.
But we see them.
Yeah, we see them.
He doesn't like fan service.
That's not what the discussion was about. It's about being tasteful.
I'm just saying you just don't like fan service, but go on.
It's just about being tasteful, Sly. Anyway, this is literally a point that was made 4 years ago that got left in the dust. We were briefly reminded about it when Kryl turned up alive, and then completely pushed it aside again.
But it wasn't. I mean, yeah, all right. It was pushed to the side, but I don't know about left in the dust. Like, we know that when they introduce these things, they're always going to come back to them. And it's good storytelling, because if they hadn't introduced the idea of Baldesion and the Isle of Val and the Dawn Warriors, if they hadn't seeded that in 2.0, then this would have felt like cheap fan service. It would have felt like really sort of out of left field, you know what I mean? It's the fact that they seeded it with the students of Baldesion and with this strange story about the Isle of Val disappearing and then Kryl showing up. It's the fact that they've done all that work that makes it compelling, right?
Let's not act like if they never seeded it, they wouldn't have found a different story for this.
Well,
because they didn't know they were making Eureka 4 fucking years ago. They put
maybe not 4, but they eventually did.
They knew they touched the story.
Hang on. Exactly. They didn't know that they were going to make Eureka, but they knew that they were going to tell this story. And they set up the ability for this story to come into the game organically and unobtrusively. And like I say, that's good storytelling.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's just that we've waited patiently.
Yes.
For 4 years to learn about the Isle of Val. And what's most interesting is the Isle of Val is nowhere near where we're presumably going. Because the Kugane is the actual opposite side of the world from where the Isle of Val originally was.
Well, Eureka is in Dravania.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Eureka is there. Because Eureka is...
it's in Dravania.
Then why the hell are we taking the boat from Kugane?
I don't know, but Yoshida, I don't know, maybe that story is just like starting in Kugane. But Yoshida did
zone in is in Sagane. Like, the guy to zone into the instance is at the Kugane port.
Well, I don't know, man. He accidentally let it slip. He was talking about Dravania in relation to Eureka during the live letter, and then basically stopped himself and said, "Oh, whoops, I wasn't supposed to say that." And you look at the screenshots.
It wouldn't be all too surprising to me if Eureka geographically is located near Val, but the only way to get in is geographically near Kugane. Because with the Isle of Val disappearing the way it did, nothing necessarily has to line up geographically here.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do we go through a portal? Like,
I mean, we still haven't really 100% identified the singularity that caused Isle of Val to disappear or where it went. We don't know that Animos. Presumably, Animos isn't the Isle of Val. Like, I think we can safely say that. But we also don't know where the Isle of Val went. All we know is that it was similar magic to the Heart of Sabik and Ultima, that it was detected when it disappeared.
Yes.
How's that folding going, Sly?
No, I was just looking at the map.
Just looking at your cloth map.
Oh, that was your cloth map. Okay, he's trying to get
that was my cloth map.
Okay. It looked like you were just bored and you were folding, like, a towel or something.
Folding laundry.
Yeah, laundry, state of the laundry.
Yeah,
because the architecture in the trailer does resemble the Forelands, but it also geographically none of it makes sense because of the wild elements. Because there's a jungle, a beach, like everything's in complete flux. And apparently one of the sections that has one of the bosses is very connected to the Void.
Mm-hmm.
I forget exactly what it was called on the minimap when they described it. It was the Void something. The Void Seed? I don't remember.
The way they describe it makes me think of the 6th Umbral era, where after the War of the Magi, sort of the land's ether was all like messed up and in flux, and it was causing these sort of massive shifts in like weather and environment and stuff like that. And that's when the Red Mage just sort of built the ziggurat to kind of like quell it and anchor it and stabilize it. It seems like we've got this sort of microcosm of that sort of environment.
I like that. Yeah, and that's why the elemental wheel playing such an important role supports that. I like that. I hadn't thought of that approach. So I like that that sort of remnant of the 6th. I really want to know what the hell happened to the Isle of Val. Like I feel like we'll learn a lot of very interesting things about Eureka and everything that surrounds it. By the way, it was called the New Void. Was the name of the pit in the north? I think it was in the northwest side of the map.
The New Void.
The New Void. I don't know if that's. I don't know.
What
If it's
meaning would that have?
Well, first of all, we didn't see it in English, so it might translate like when it's translated over. It might be different. It might just be what it was, a loose translation from Japanese to English. I don't think we saw the name in English.
That would imply basically that there's like a point somewhere on Heidelin where a flood of darkness is like starting to spread.
Similar to one. Go
ahead.
I was gonna say New Void makes, because I guess we have to still presume any instance of the Void is referring to the shard that was lost in darkness.
Yeah.
With the Crystal Tower. It's possible another shard was lost, but I think the repercussion of that would have been I feel like it just could be one of the other shards that was lost to darkness. And it's a
well, there's only one shard that was lost to darkness. That was the only one
that we know of. What if a new one? I don't think so. But either way, that's where I mean, we don't know. We don't keep up to date. Minfilia doesn't tell us shit anymore. We don't know what she's doing with the Warriors.
She's not going to tell us shit anymore anyway.
We don't know what she did. What happened when she went with the Warriors of Darkness? We don't know. Maybe some shit's got fucked up elsewhere now. I just feel like anything that catastrophic would have to probably be told to us in the main story. Losing another shard is not something you can take lightly.
No, I think it's more likely that the sort of ethereal chaos in that area is basically causing a new kind of spark of the flood of darkness.
Yeah. So there's a lot to learn in Anemos, and it's only the first of the zones, which I guess we'll have more definitive answers about what defines Eureka when we actually see, because it's also possible that this area is from Dravania, but it disappeared like the Isle of Val. That's, I mean, even if it's geographically, again, related to Dravania, that doesn't necessarily mean anything unless till we have the grand scope of what Eureka itself actually is. So it's worth considering that this is another area that suffered the same loss that the Isle of Val did.
Yeah, certainly. And that could be Kryle's reason for wanting to investigate it, right? Is that she's trying to like work out what happened to Val, and this is sort of a piece of the puzzle.
And that piece of land, maybe it was lost similar to the Isle of Val during the Sixth Umbral Calamity, which is why it's retained this state of complete elemental disaster. So there's a lot of
but for this long though,
I mean, we don't know how.
Why not?
We don't know how it works. That's the thing. It's all speculation, but there's lots of wild places it can go. It's exciting because we didn't. I mean, all we have right now is with freely Xenos is wondering where the hell that'll go. That's the wildest thing we have right now. So something to throw a wrench in what we've been speculating on for 4 years is very welcome. I'm excited. For me, Eureka is the most exciting story aspect of the patch. It has been since I saw the trailer. It's now is after doing the rest of the story and the patch. And I'm most invested in what they could do with it, not necessarily what we know it is, because we don't know anything.
I'm always excited.
I know you are. But is there anything else you want to hit on before we go wrap up and go into a short post show and sponsors?
No, I don't think we really missed anything, did we?
I mean, there's probably some minute details or like slight mistakes in our discussions that are in there, but people will wait for the comment section to call that out. Yeah. Wait, now. Nothing, gentlemen?
No, I'm satisfied.
All right. I'm going to do the sponsors first, and then we'll do the outros. Sound good? All right. Awesome.
Great.
So, before we wrap up, I want to say thank you to our sponsors this week, the combat hashtag demonetized over on the YubTubs, because that's always an exciting thing to have to talk about. So we have I'm actually going to do the Patron of Light last again this week because we have a new screenshot. I have the old one right here, but we have another screenshot, so I might as well do that while I'm actually reading this. So first, I'd like to thank our standard sponsors. We have Kifkin the Grey Eagles on Exodus, Darkgraver, Katayoshi from Khuja, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rah Xephon from Exodus, Rynoet Westhouse the Purple Warrior, Eadric Redsteele on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiark, Sour Cream and Chives from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Goetia Valfer of Serren, Hersh Fersh of Faerie, Phoenix Down FC on Goblin, and Serren from Zodiark. We also have our premium sponsors. We have a Nairik Vizsla of Azure Infinitum FC. We have Red Thorn Asura. We have Kurenai Oni. We have Askin Hawk from Shiva. We have Oscar. Very simple name. Love it. We have Crass015. We have Mustang, the Serenity FC on Ultros. We have Kat Kazuma, Kurayoshi and the Reckless Tea Party on Cactar. Ignis Fairgun from the Diablo server. Vlestra of Fanfrit. Not Quarters from Excalibur. Krovos Moonscar. Nakaniami of Balmong. Johnny Odin of Tomberry. Private Mikey. Spike. Nadia Kirasami. Rudy Rudiger. Tin Colossus. Killer Hackman. Raul Jr. Remiel Gaming. And Killtastic Jones. And then finally, I really need to get a voice changer for
Ethys. Can you do the Jesus voice?
No, he can't. Like it's gonna be Australian. It's not gonna work.
No, that's fine. What's wrong with Australian Jesus?
Everyone knows that Jesus is Australian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was he down? Was he what? Because he was down under that rock before he fucking resurrected. I guess so. I mean, I don't know where you wanted me to go with that, but that's where I was going with it.
Just say the name.
Please. So we have Khuja Cross from the Jenova server, our patron of light. There's a screenshot for this week. I kind of just want to show Ethys' face right now because he looks distraught.
Holy shit. What's the worst thing that's ever happened?
The worst thing. I could go back to calling you Moon Man like prematurely if you would like to replace that as the worst thing that's ever happened. All right, thank you,
ladies and gentlemen, our patron of light.
Patron of light. Or I guess
it would have come better from Ethys.
Patron of light.
See, that sounds better than fucking Bane.
That's not Bane. No, this is Bane.
Oh, thank you, patron of light.
I was wondering what.
But you do that every time you say patron of light.
Your spirit or your body? There you go. All right, that's fine. It's all right. No, I just cover and muffle it, but I don't become Bane. I'm still doing my voice. I don't do that. You got to do a Sean Connery impression. You got to. Oh yes.
Really?
I was wondering what was
Sean Connery. I don't know about that.
Sean Connery is Bane, apparently.
Sean Connery, but with your mouth muffled, is as close as I can begin to describe Bane's voice.
Okay.
All right. And besides, he likes the Bane one better. In the chat, it says it right there. There you go.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Khuja Cross.
There you go. See, that's all we need.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and thank you for joining us this week, Ethys. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you at?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Ethys. Hi. You can find me on twitch.tv/EthysAsher. You can find me on youtube.com/EthysAsher, where I do lore videos some of the time. And you can find me on Twitter at EthysAsher. Just anywhere, EthysAsher. Google it. Follow me in all the places. Easy.
That's my line. I'm the Google guy.
No, I'm the Google guy.
Well, that was a compelling argument, so now I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah, no, you.
No, me. All right, Slyh, you're up next with your sexy new setup. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you at?
You can find me on twitch.tv/Slyh, aka Greyfox. You can find me on Instagram at Slyh, aka Greyfox07. You can find me on Twitter at Slythefox. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/The Velvet Room. Yeah. Simple.
Should we Google you?
No.
All right. Don't Google.
Probably
don't
not.
Google Slyh. It won't help.
And Mike, apparently people can just fucking Google you. So,
No. They can't Google me. They can Google Ethys. We've established this already.
No. They can Google you. Apparently,
he's taken this mantle. All right.
Yeah.
I like that just the top of the shirt shows. So people just. Are you fucking kidding me?
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's a great line to have with just the top of the shirt without seeing the rest of the shirt. It's quite it makes sense. Anyway, you can find me, Mr. Happy127, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and it's gonna be a busy week with a bunch of stuff happening. Yeah, it's some of it's gonna be a blast of the past, and some of it's gonna be things like 15 PC and Ni no Kuni 2 next month. I want to play Ni no Kuni 2. Well, I already played it for 4 hours, but I want to play more. All right. But anyway, we're going to move on over into a very short post show because I raid in 5 minutes. Last week, nice. I totally forgot I was raiding on Tuesday, and they were just like, and my raid had to tweet at me, be like, "Where you at, though?" And I'm just like, "Oops." 20 minutes late. It's all right.
Oopsies.
When you get demonetized by the shirt,
you fucking could.
So thank you again, Ethys. We probably won't do Erzivia for another at least 2-3 weeks because if Eureka's next week, that would be the show. If it's not, we'd probably wait for it before a week after Eureka before doing.
I think we should wait until after Eureka so we can put some Eureka questions.
Yeah,
in it.
that's my thing. We're not going to do a 4.25 spoiler cast.
Thanks for letting me know what to study for.
That's probably I already know at least 4 questions Ethys is going to ask.
I don't even know what questions I'm
but
gonna
I
ask.
know which.
He's going to get the questions from the people.
But I know where you'll go because I've answered enough of your questions now to kind of have an idea of certain things that will be located in the show.
Yeah, you haven't answered them correctly.
I didn't say I was even going to study for them. but I know what they'll be.
Savage.
Right, okay.
You know how I know? Because I watched you do the story.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Instead of fucking doing it. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, it worked out for me. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us this week. Thank you again for our sponsors, and we will see you next week where hopefully we're talking about Eureka. Fingers crossed. So thank you, and we'll see you guys then.
All right.
Peace,
everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you next week.
No, but really though, you liked my down under joke with Jesus, right?
No.
Doesn't make any sense.